here first. Right now, here's a headline from the newspaper. It says, "Church vows never to call the cops." And this is in Oakland, California. And it says, standing in front of the steps of the First Congressional Church of Oakland, recently, Nicola Torbett issued a declaration. "We can no longer tolerate the trauma inflicted on our communities by policing," Torbett said. She's a white volunteer that said in front of the churchgoers who held photos of African Americans shot dead by law enforcement officers. The church, she promised, would never, ever call the cops again in nearly every circumstance. Dozens of members had agreed to do the same thing. How do police help? They often don't, Torbett said. She's especially as white people, why call them? And this is ridiculous. What? This is going to lead to vigilante justice. If you can't stop a criminal, what are you going to do? You're going to use your own gun? You're going to use a baseball bat or try to do something else and stop these criminals? And it doesn't, this isn't the answer. The answer is get rid of those racist police officers. If there are, if the circumstances say that, you just got to call out the bad. Just make sure that you get rid of the bad officers and hire new ones. That'll be,
That's exactly right.
I don't know.
But not to call them, that's ridiculous.
No, it's one thing after another here in California. If it's not, that, it's illegal aliens. And here's another one. Before you get into yours, there's a crash suspect, is a 2012 deportee. A man suspected in the deadly street racing crash that killed two young brothers 2 weeks ago was deported in 2012 after he was caught smuggling 44 packages of marijuana across the U.S. border from Mexico, the court records show. And this Gallegos, he's 30 years old, was headed to Paris through the Otay Mesa port of entry with a valid U.S. permanent resident card in May of 2012 when he was sent for a further inspection by the computer-generated referral, according to the probable cause statement filed in federal court. Well, the x-rays of his car showed anomalies in the gas tank. Authorities requested drug-sniffing dogs, which alerted the gas cap to be opened and the gas tank taken off, and they found 94 pounds of marijuana. So, in this case, he was fined, smuggled into the country, also $800. He pled guilty 2 months later to one count of importing marijuana. Now, after his conviction, his legal status was revoked and he was ordered removed from an immigration judge in October 2012. So he went and then he came back. And that's when he had this deadly crash on May 15th. It killed two brothers. And here again, it's a case of not keeping him out. This is a sanctuary state. Don't you know that? And they coddle criminals. You don't.
Yeah.
They don't stay out. And this Governor Brown keeps insisting, that hey, this is. It's costing the state of California $25 billion a year for illegals. And now we're providing free legal help to the illegals. How much more do you have to do?
Yeah, and that 89% of these illegals, when they're stopped and checked, are found to be felons. 89% of the illegals they stop and check have, maybe not felonies, but have records.
Yeah, and have been here before.
That's terrible.
So,
and have been there before, exactly.
You need that wall.
What's that? They're not doing their job. Somebody's not doing their job.
That's right.
Or somebody's promoting it, to police somebody. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, Lloyd. I don't know.
What are you mad as hell about today?
Well, I'm mad as hell about being in Arizona and you being in
California.
in Redlands, but that doesn't make any. Never mind. So let's be mad about some of the other stuff. In Korea, they're having protests over there. Korean women are having legal protests over there. I think there's about 20 or 30,000 of them. And they're protesting these aerial spy cams where they're taking porno pictures of these gals in all kinds of poses and all kinds of situations, and then I guess sell them on the internet or whatever they sell them on or whatever they do with them.
What is that?
But the Korean women aren't taking it.
I mean, this South Korea?
They're Seoul, South Korea, right?
It's South Korea.
Yeah. Yeah, in Seoul. And 20,000 of them are there now and protesting. So, I'm just mad as hell that predators are doing this and that California and some of the other states just allow it to continue until it turns into something much worse.
Well,
that's what I'm...
They doing porn sites of these? Are these porn sites or what?
Yeah, they're they have a
spy cam
porn site. It's like the guy wearing a camera on his shoe or something, and the lightweight ones, and then probably the heavier weight ones are through a wall or what have you, and taking pictures of these women having sex probably or whatever they're doing, but anyway, exploiting them.
Well, that's a shame too, but they do it here.
So,
they've done it here in the United States too.
Yeah.
There was a documentary done on that where a guy had a motel and he had cameras in that, and occasionally you'll find the same thing happening here. But
I've seen that.
You got perverts everywhere, here, there, everywhere. Hollywood, you name it, they're coming out of the woodwork.
The opportunity. That's right. They're coming right out of the woodwork. And that's what's happening, and we're permitting it. We're becoming so permissive that it's just a wholesale right now. So.
Well, okay. Well, I want to remind people to call in if you're mad as hell about anything. And I mean, there's enough out there. You call us, a local number is 1-909-792-5222. And the long distance number, 888
is 888-909-1050.
1050. 909-1050 if you're long distance, and give us a call for any reason, and
that's for sure. I'll say hi.
Yeah. Yeah, just anything at all. Last week we had a couple of callers. One had a problem with the VA, and the other was being kicked out of her apartment, and she couldn't afford the rent.
Yeah.
And that's another thing here in California. You can't afford to buy, you can't afford to rent. So people are leaving in record number.
That's for sure.
We got a break for a commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Okay.
We all know that solar energy saves you money, but which company really has your best interest in mind? Some people buy solar and find out later the system installed ended up being undersized in the number of panels, or there are some other issues with the installation. Do you have solar questions? Then call Solar Energy Solutions, UKIPA, 909-570-1197. Solar Energy Solutions gives you all the information you need to make a comfortable decision about your very important solar power purchase without pressuring you. For the best quality solar panels and the best installation, call Solar Energy Solutions now for your honest answers. They do care. Solar Energy Solutions, 909-570-1197. They're straight shooters serving the entire Inland Empire. Solar Energy Solutions, 909-570-1197.
Thanks for waiting. Lloyd and Greg are back.
Hey, and we just want to remind you that Solar Energy Solutions also goes beyond the Inland Empire. They go clear over to Blythe, California. So if you need solar panels over there, just give them a call. and they have a website. It's Seth, S-E-T-H, at solarenergysolutions.us. So give them a call. At any rate, welcome back, Greg, there in Ehrenberg.
Hello, yeah.
In the heat of the day. Any rate,
Heat of the day. It's yesterday it did the same thing, got hotter later, and it's doing that today too. So I guess that's what it's going to be for a few days.
well, anyway, I envy you the gas prices over there because they're a lot cheaper than over here, and that's
Yeah, but they're creeping up too.
yeah. Well,
Trickle down, trickle up effect. They're creeping up a little bit. The gas prices are becoming closer. They were about $1 separation. Now there's about a 50-cent separation.
well, that's a lot,
So,
if you travel
Yeah,
a
it is.
lot. But at any rate,
it is.
There's another
You're right.
thing over in England. I have some relatives that are
Uh-huh.
from England. My granddaughter's husband is from England. And this, I just read an article the other day about Tony Robinson. He's been jailed in the United Kingdom for speaking out he was speaking out about Muslim grooming gang trials. And I think free speech in England is dead. And that's where it started, free speech.
Just dead.
Yeah, there's hundreds of young women are being raped by Muslim gangs, and this guy speaks out, and they throw him in jail. Now, how's that justice?
Oh my goodness.
I said, wait a minute, you can't do that.
That's
You
not
can't-
justice.
Why? Here, he's
What are they saying they can? Huh?
he's condemning the gangs, and I
Sure.
talked to several people from England. They said, hey, it's a lost cause. They're taking over England, period, with mosques and actually mayors of towns and everything else are more and more because they didn't stop this. And, there's good Muslims and there's bad ones, but they've got a lot of bad ones that snuck in and that should have been screened.
Well, sure.
And we've got quite a few here that should have been screened properly, and they're here. And they should.
They're here, yeah.
They shouldn't be. They should be screened properly
Right
like
now,
everything
in
else.
Detroit.
And
Oh, yeah.
it's not going to. I pity England because they say it's done, and there's quite a few people that want to come to the United States from England. Says, hey, please. And we've got to stop that same thing from happening here. And free speech is free
Sure,
speech.
it's going to do a bunch if we don't take a firm stand.
That's true.
You know that.
Yep.
Yeah, right now they busted a big drug scam and deal where the doctors were writing prescriptions to the tune of about $135 million worth of bogus prescriptions, if you will. Well, anyway, prescriptions that weren't for the medical
Where is this at?
purpose, So on the street in Detroit, Michigan. And then there are a couple other states that were profiting. But Detroit had the clinics and the doctors and all the setup. One of the guys is living, like a king or better. He's just high up. There's 6 of them total, and they busted them all, closed all the clinics. And they said that this is a major impact on opiates epidemic, they're calling it. Opioid epidemic, they're calling it. And then yesterday they caught some group or the guy bringing $125 million worth of fentanyl into the United States. And that was enough to give everybody a lot of fentanyl and put them to sleep, And that was coming in through Mexico.
Yeah, well,
So
as
God
I say,
only knows how much really.
we've got to have a bigger wall and a better way of screening, because it's coming in. A lot of times, Afghanistan was the major source of heroin, and yet they still grow it there,
Right.
right out in the
Afghanistan is
open,
probably,
because it's it's a way that they can make a living, and nobody stops them. So they still and they export all that heroin over here. And where do you think it comes in? Our borders, right?
comes in. borders. Why, absolutely.
Well, it comes in
And
by
probably
boat, by Mexican
Yeah.
border, the Canadian border, you name it, and it comes in that way.
you name it.
But we got to stop
Why,
that
sure.
at the source, and
That's
nobody's
where we
been
got
able
to
to
stop
do
it
it.
at the source, of course. And you can't have a group of people thinking that they don't have to listen to our laws. Any group of people, anywhere, because that starts anarchy. That starts the very problem that we're seeing. And
Yeah.
guess what? That's going to lead to a disaster.
Yeah, here's another one.
Yeah,
This would make me mad as heck if I were. This is in Texas, Dallas, Texas. This woman fatally shot her husband because he beat the family cat. And
oh my God!
Don't beat your cat, otherwise your wife's liable to kill you, or vice versa. Authorities say a Dallas woman admitted to fatally shooting her husband because he was beating the family cat. And Mary Harrison, 47, was taken into custody Saturday in connection with the shooting. Dexter Harrison was rushed to the local hospital where he was pronounced dead. The Fort Worth Star-Telegram reports Harrison remained in custody Sunday at the Justice Center where she's being held on a $100,000 bail. So it was just they'll probably get her for manslaughter because it was a spur of the moment. Sure. You beat my cat, I'm going to kill you. And he didn't believe it. Bang, you're dead. I mean, it's not funny, but I mean, it's.
No, it's not funny, but it's not.
But see how how these things can get out of control. And evidently, she loved her cat more than she loved her husband. Do you think?
Sure, but that's what's happening today. Everything's out of control, and when it comes to family, it's way out of control.
That's right.
And, it's sad. Yep.
Our engineer just sent me a note. He says, how is the cat? It survived. It didn't die.
No, the cat survived.
Yeah, the cat survived, but the husband didn't. Just
maybe
spur
one of
of
the
the
kids
moment.
will take care of the cat now.
Yeah, and she sent
Maybe a father's.
and then she sent
What?
a telegram to Trump to pardon her. No, not really, but I just.
Well, he's in that business right now.
Well, that's true. Hey, we got a serious matter to talk about in a minute, and as I say, I remind people to call in. Last week we had a couple of people.
Yeah, please.
If you're angry at anything, but here the suicide rate is really climbing, and especially this last week when we had two celebrities that offed themselves, and both of them hung themselves. And Kate Spade, who had everything to live for, everybody thought so, and here again, and we never know. Anthony Bourdain, a famous chef, also killed himself, and this man, he was world famous, traveled everywhere, and I guess out of the blue. Although both of them supposedly had mental illness problems in the past. Bourdain had been a heroin addict for years, and he managed to, I guess over the last 20 years, he's managed to kick the habit and come clean, and everything else. And everybody thought he was on a roll. And you never know what these people are thinking. And, there's no way. I've had friends that committed suicide that I never imagined would do it. One of them was going blind.
Yes.
And he couldn't stand going blind because he was a writer, and he just offed himself. Just took a shotgun and took it. We've got a caller. Welcome to I'm Mad as Hell. Who am I talking to?
This is Bree.
Yeah?
And I just heard someone call out your letters and stuff. I'm down at Seal Beach.
Yeah.
And we are going to have a live performance tonight and stuff, a Christian performance. And I am homeless, and I got kicked out of my house about 6 months ago because I had to give it up because there's new foreigners that is coming in.
Oh, really?
And, they come first.
Oh, really?
I only make $475, and they can afford more than I can, so I got kicked out of my apartment.
I'll be darned. Well, here.
And, I'm not very happy about it, but I met a couple, and they have brought me down to Seal Beach, and they are going to let me stay at a little tiny room in their back of their house, and till I can get on my feet again. And
I mean, that's really kind of them. I mean, there's not enough people doing that, but there's, this problem in this California is epidemic, actually, because there's no place is affordable to middle-income families, period. You can't do that, not even, and the poor are just left out completely. So we have over 100,000 people a year leaving California because of the high rents, the high cost of living, the gasoline, the taxes, you name it, and they're leaving. And it's a wonderful place to live, and I was born here, but, I'd rather be somewhere else, too. If it weren't for my family, I'd be there in Arizona with Greg right now.
Yes, we would.
Absolutely, yeah.
I lived in a real nice little neighborhood and stuff in Corona, and I had been there for almost 9 years, and just one day I got a letter on my door. I opened it up, and it said that I must move. And then when I questioned the lady, she said there is new people in town, and they need room for their families, and they come first.
Oh, shoot.
How is that fair?
Well, that's terrible.
It's not fair.
No, and I've got another friend in Fontana who's trying to save the world, and she's got at least 5 people in her house, and most of the time they don't pay any rent, and it's almost making her go broke. But I mean, I said you can't save the world, period.
No,
I
you
mean,
can't.
it's
You
nice,
only go so far.
but you can't
I'm going to
save
pay
the
these
world.
people because I get a little over $500, and I'm going to pay these people $300 a month. They say no, I say yes, and that still gives me enough money to buy my little bit of medicine that I need. And I am a type 1 diabetic,
Yeah.
so I do need my insulin and stuff. And the people on the beach down there are in Lower California. They are terrible.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to buy me a stun gun, I'd be very happy to take it because these guys are wild.
In your van?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't have a gun, they told me, but they told me I could have a stun gun.
Yeah, that's true.
So if this man told me I can have a stun gun, and he said he is a sheriff in L.A. County.
Or pepper
so if
spray.
I can get myself one of them stun guns, I'm going to learn how to use it, and those guys better watch out.
Okay, we got a break for a station break right now, but I appreciate the call, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call.
Best of luck to you.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
Okay, we're back, and we were talking about suicide and the high incidence of that, and it seems like after these celebrities commit suicide, like when Robin Williams did, there was an uptake in suicides throughout the United States. And I guess they say, well, hey, if he did it and he's a celebrity, it's got to be okay. So I'm going to go and do it.
Yeah.
But I was raised Catholic, and that's a no-no. You're never forgiven. I guess you don't go to heaven, but if you take your own life.
Yeah.
So there's I've never even thought of it myself, and a lot of people, I've known friends that were depressed, and I got them out of that depression, but a lot of times it's just it's too painful, and they can't stand it anymore, and they got to stop the pain. But in order to risk
it seems like they do it a spur of a moment.
Well, yeah, in order to risk the high incidence of suicide, you should take away any medication they might have that could, or firearms.
All right.
And the increases were particularly stark in the Intermountain West. And you'll never guess where the least amount or the most amount of suicides were in the United. Which states do you think? Right off the bat.
I would think the rural states with low population is what come to mind.
Well,
for me, I don't know though.
Pretty much so. Number one was Montana, and number two was Alaska. And these are isolated places, right?
Alaska.
Yeah. It says
of course.
Intermountain West, including Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, North and South Dakota, Kansas, Minnesota, and Oklahoma. Between 1999 and 2016, suicide rates in these states, along with Vermont and New Hampshire and South Carolina, rose from 38% to 58%. And a lot of that has to do with isolation. And some people blame it on opiates, were present in 31% of those who died in suicide. A lot of times it's not, but 31%.
How about booze?
Well, that too, but I mean, it's I don't have. It's ridiculous to think that they would do this just because of opiates, and to address the problems, the answer are not suicide hotlines. We need to focus on things that reduce stress on American families, and that includes economic assistance, job and access to education. And first among the strategies of the Center for Disease Control recommend to states in 2017 is to strengthen the economic supports, including bolstering financial security, adopting policies to stabilize housing. Here again, it's a big problem here in California. We don't have that. Jerry Brown, you should take notice. Improve access to mental health care, because 40-some% of all the homeless people have mental health issues. And we need to build more health care facilities. And they haven't done it.
Yes,
and instead, he wants to build homeless shelters and create.
Yeah,
they need to program the cope with these problems, but it hasn't happened.
Sure, it's like building cages instead of rehab. I don't.
Yeah, but this since 1999, there's about 45,000 lives a year taken with suicide, and that's much too many.
That's way high.
It's just not.
Yep.
And these are, here again, chronic disease or social isolation, and the rising number of suicides among middle-aged adults is a public health concern, and that has been evident for some time. We have concerns related to opiate epidemic, but American Psychiatric Association, who believes that suicide among middle-aged adults warrants more research. It doesn't seem to me that the opiate epidemic explains the entire situation. And the Center for Disease...
No, it doesn't.
No. Mental health conditions. And, most of them, half of the people who died of suicide had known mental health conditions. But those without the known mental health conditions were more likely to struggle with significant life events. The breakup of a marriage, of a boyfriend, girlfriend situation, financial troubles, where they go broke and they say, how am I going to make it? I can't do this, so I don't want to face this. Loss of job, of an important job, going to jail, and then getting out, and a lot of, and here again, we have a high incidence of suicide with the veterans, that had come back from Iraq and Afghanistan especially, and it's been a high record. But a lot of these people were injured, and they do have mental conditions that were not diagnosed properly. You know, they said, you know, the brain issues, for instance, when a bomb blows up, they said it's much more severe than if you were a football player and were hit constantly and suffered concussions. That this affects the brain, and I've known people that just really go off. They couldn't sleep with their spouse because they fight at night. You know, they had these night sweats, and they would fight, and they would actually injure their spouse if they were in the same bed together. And you know, it's terrible. And there's got to be more counseling.
It is terrible.
And things to be done.
But it seems like it has. Yes.
I don't have the answer for it.
But it doesn't like an easy remedy if you get them in there and get a good counseling and get them rehabbed as far as jobs or something of that nature, medically checked out to see how serious their medical problems are.
Yeah.
I think that can be done easily, but if we have to get rid of this illegal alien problem to have the funds to do it.
Well, a lot of the illegal aliens are mentally ill too. So here we find them in the homeless population all the time. And this suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. And for every suicide,
that's terrible.
For every suicide, there's 25 people who attempt it and don't succeed. And suicide costs the U.S. $69 billion annually. So it would behoove us to find a solution to this problem. And it's not just, well, you find that, here's some statistics that a lot of people, the annual age-adjusted suicide rate is 13.42 per 100,000 individuals. Men die by suicide 3.53 times more than women. So almost 4 times greater than women. On an average, there's 123 suicides per day. And white males accounted for 7 of the 10 suicides in 2016. And firearms accounted for 51% of all suicides. And the rate for suicide is the highest in middle-aged white men in particular. So, you know, that's these things are facts. And the 2 friends that I had were both white, and they committed suicide. So it's not like a friend of mine.
Yeah, mine were.
Yeah, I
well,
have a friend who's Asian. He said, "Not me. I'm not going to go that way." And it's just
no way. Huh?
Yeah, and they say 51% died with firearms, and suffocation was the second. That's hanging, 25.9%.
Yeah.
Poisoning, 14.9%, and I guess that would include medication, huh? And other, I guess would be 8.2% is other, and that's drowning or jumping off a cliff.
Drowning or
jumping out of an airplane without a parachute, whatever. Whatever they want to do to kill themselves. And basically that.
Kill themselves, huh?
Yeah, there's most of the thing, you know, as I've got a master's in counseling, and a lot of people said, you know, a friend of mine's a psychiatrist, and he said, you know, there seem to be, he said, these messages that people have that will give their family an idea that they're depressed and coming to the end of their rope, and most of them said, you know, the word tired. I'm really, really tired, and I don't know if I can continue this. You know, tired of their job, tired of life. They don't say life in particular, but they said, I'm tired. I'm really tired, and this I don't know if I can go on. These are some of the things, and you can't leave people in isolation like the #1 states there were Alaska and Montana. Now, that's pretty isolated. I've been in Alaska. I was stationed there, and that is isolated. There's nothing around. Nobody, no entertainment.
That's right.
And they said, one of the least states with suicide is Nevada. And maybe it's because of all the 24 hours a day entertainment and gambling and, shows and everything else. Who knows? Maybe
I guess
the closeness of the population in California is not way high on
maybe,
there
I
either.
don't.
So it's the isolation.
California's way high.
Yeah, well, you're isolated over there in Ehrenberg, so be careful. Keep the
Yeah, it's pretty isolated. I'm not going to kill myself or anybody else at the moment. Maybe the heat would cause some problems. The heat would probably kill people before they killed themselves, though.
Yeah, if you go outside and without water and
I don't see it as a
wander in the desert.
here.
No,
we did have when I first got over here, we had a run of teenage suicides. I think they had 8 or 9 teenage suicides.
Oh, really?
From Blythe. And, when I first moved over here. But I haven't heard of any since then, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's...
that could be the deal. Maybe copycat their friends or copycat whatever. People just are like sheep, they follow others. And when others do things, like you said, Robin Williams, and somebody's following suit,
Well, and teenagers there was a raft of suicides among teenagers a few years ago, one right after another. There were 3 in the same school, and I don't know what the deal was there, but evidently they felt that maybe lack of religion might have a lot to do with this too. And
I think it does.
If they don't believe in anything and they don't think there's a hereafter, they might figure, hey, it's okay, there's nothing here, so I'm going to just ashes to ashes and nothing more. There is no hereafter.
The water, it's pretty pathetic here. I don't know how people think they kill themselves. I've never had that thought. I've never wanted to
Neither have I.
injure myself
It's just
harm myself. Never. So I can't even comprehend how a person feels. Now, if somebody's out there that's contemplating suicide,
or
give
maybe
us a call.
Yeah,
Let's talk to you.
Or somebody who has actually tried it and failed and is still around and decided, it wasn't the way to go. Give us a call. But I think, if you do know somebody, encourage them to call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And that that number is 1...
You have the number?
Yeah, 1-800-273... 8255. Now that's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. 1-800-273-8255. Or they can contact the text line by texting TALK to 741741. And that's TALK to 741741. And that, as I say, a lot of times
your refrigerator.
They do a lot of good, and maybe the last straw. But if it can save just one life, it'll be great.
It'd be worth it.
We got a break for a commercial, and we'll be right back. Dang it, I'm mad as hell.
At what?
These gall-darn solar companies keep calling me night and day, night and day.
Have you talked to any of them?
Yeah, I had 4 of them over, and, each one of them give me a different quote. How am I supposed to know which one is the best?
Sounds like you talked to the wrong solar company.
Well, how do I know which is the right solar company?
Well, evidently you haven't talked to Solar Energy Solutions.
Solar Energy? No, I ain't heard of them. How are they any different?
First, they do a complete energy analysis along with you and help you understand leasing versus owning, so you get the best return on your investment.
Oh, yeah? Well, that leasing and owning part was a little confusing. And, I was about ready to get out my shotgun.
Don't worry, these guys are straight shooters and will do you right. Give Solar Energy Solutions a call at 909-570-1197.
Okay, let me see. I got that right. I'm a little slow here. 909-570-1197.
Got that right.
Okay, I'll do her.
Thanks for waiting. Lloyd and Greg are back.
Yep, and remember that Solar Energy Solutions, no money down. If you buy or lease, doesn't make any difference. No money down. They'll finance the whole thing. They'll put the thing up, and they'll give you a $500 bonus just for signing.
Right.
So do
Got
it.
a nice bonus, right?
Do her today. Any rate,
Yeah.
I got another thing I'm mad as hell about. This story here is recently, it says, Dontre Mills purchased 27 guns using false ID and then sold those guns to felons. He walks the street a free man today. Now, because of being charged with 55 counts of federal gun trafficking crimes, Barack Obama's Department of Justice negotiated a plea bargain. In exchange for a guilty plea on one charge, Dontre Mills would get probation. Tell me again how the NRA is the problem.
Man.
Yeah, it's not the problem.
Responsible for the
It's just
kids in Florida.
Yeah, well, you know how that is. That in fact, that cop got on the explaining why he didn't jump into the fray. You know, the one where all those kids were killed, that Florida school, and then you know he's got that big retirement salary, and you know at the blame game they turn. It's somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Never mine. And it's kind of ridiculous. And now they say, we got to have more gun control. More gun control. My goodness. This won't happen again. I got news for you. The causes of death in the USA in 2016 is number one cause of death. You know what it was? Abortion.
I do.
Abortion. 501,325.
They controlled their guns, didn't they?
Yeah. Heart disease, 282,000. Cancer, 271. Tobacco, 160,000. Obesity, 140,939. Medical errors, 115,000 of medical errors. Health.
Wow.
You know what murder was by gun?
With health insurance.
5,276.
Oh, I don't know number.
That's on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's on.
That's at the bottom. You know why?
Drunk drivers kill more.
Gun control. Yeah. Guns don't kill on their own.
No, and you know
Somebody
they want to do more and more to take away the guns.
Well, they take away our guns and they control us better. That's how it's been. That's how they want to do it again because it works.
Well, here again, we just had
we
had this election in the state of California, and they were saying, you know, the attorney general here was responsible for beating the NRA here. That's not true.
Oh, yeah.
And that Gavin Newsom was you know, responsible for more gun control and all this. He's responsible for a lot of things, and he will continue the Jerry Brown reign of terror in the state of California if you elect that guy. I'll tell you, it's the same rubber stamp plus more taxes. And you've got, here again...
Yeah, they need to vote for Cox.
I'm
out of California, but they need to vote for Cox.
Yep, John Cox.
Go ahead.
But we've got until November, and a lot of things can come out between now and November. But, you know, you got to realize that Jerry Brown, he discovered $9 billion in tax surplus a few weeks ago. Says, oh, we got all this money now. What do you think we can do with it? Well, they're going to spend it on a lot of homeless housing. $600 million of it goes to homeless housing. And, you know, he still wants that gas tax thing to go through. And that thing is ridiculous, gas tax and the new licensing fees. And, you know, Republicans and Democrats and independents are together on this one. They don't want it. I mean, it's just a new tax that we know is going to go to pay off other things than fix the roads and bridges. We have CalPERS.
Yeah.
CalPERS has 69% unfunded. They're $168 billion in debt. Now, this is the retirement fund for the state of California, and they blame that. During the recession, they invested in some bad things, and we lost a lot of money. And we never made up for that. So there's a shortfall here of $168 billion.
Yep.
69% unfunded retirement fund. How long do you think that's going to last? Why doesn't he put that $9 billion that he just found into this? Oh, we found this $9 billion. No, they're going to do other things with it. And it's not going to be, it's ridiculous. And that...
Not going to be like that.
Yeah, Prop 57 was, remember that one? That released all the prisoners here in California because they said, hey, it's too crowded. And they won't build any more prisons, so therefore they released them, and the crime rate went up. So here again, I don't have any answer, and I don't think anybody else does, but they're sick and tired of this. They're sick and tired of this whole thing.
You're certainly not taking away our firearms and taking away our freedoms. That certainly isn't going to work. You know, that's what's wrong with the homeless population now. Some of them got an adverse situation. They get a nice place to stay, and they get their freedom taken away. They can't be out after 9 o'clock. They can't have a beer in their room. You know, the things that they might value as being free is taken away, so they're not going to stay there.
Yeah.
They'd rather be hungry and on the street.
Well, there's a lot of, a lot of things out there we can do, and there's a lot of charities out there we can donate to, but make sure they're the right charity. There's a lot of bogus charities out there, and I want to warn people not to give to some of these. Make sure that you check them out. 6 Ways from Sunday.
Yeah.
Make sure you go on the internet. If somebody solicits you by phone, tell them you got to check them out first and find out what the administrative costs are. And you go online and they'll tell you exactly how much it costs to administration of these funds. And many of them, even major charities, you'd be surprised on how little goes to the actual people that are in need. And this is, I found this out. I was giving to a cancer research firm for a couple of years, and then they sent me another letter, and I said, I never checked up on these people. And I checked up on them. 85% went towards administrative costs, salaries, and things like that. Very little went towards research, and I stopped immediately. You can't do those things. And a friend of mine's got a foundation, and she's got some pretty good. Sherry Lansing, she used to be the CEO of Paramount Pictures, and Sherry Lansing is dedicated to funding and raising awareness with her foundation. She gets into cancer research, health, public education, encore career opportunities. Now she has, you can't donate to her directly, but you can to some of her favorite charities. And she actually was a teacher before she became a CEO. And I met her when I worked for Treasury. But she was a teacher and a good one. But at any rate, she you can donate to the United Jewish Communities, Big Brothers and Big Sisters. She says the University of Chicago, since she's a graduate of that, the American Cancer Society, Lasker Foundation, and many others. On her website, you can find a whole list of people, and you could check them out. But they're usually a good place to put your money if you've got some extra money that helps the community, helps research, and everything like that. And Sherry Lansing is a great person to do this. And she's actually putting her money where her mouth is and doing good things.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind people, beware, because that, they're always out there soliciting funds for this or that. And, even when they call up and say, this is the Police Federation or Foundation, and we're putting on this show,
Right.
would you buy some tickets? I knew a guy that made a living doing that, and very little of the money for these foundations, he was in San Bernardino, and he was soliciting funds for years. And for these talent shows and things like that, he would actually put on the talent show, but you'd buy tickets, and he'd go to businesses, and they'd buy $150 worth of tickets or something like that. And he said, you can write this off as a donation. But guess where all the money went? It didn't go to the police. Very 5%, I think, went to the police foundation. That was it. And why they would agree to do things like that.
That was it.
Yeah, and the rest went in his pocket. The guy was making a bloody fortune. He died a few years ago, so it just. But somebody, I'm sure there's somebody else that take over. They call these boiler rooms.
They're going to step in place, aren't they?
And they misrepresent themselves. You think you're talking to a sheriff's deputy or a police officer or a fireman, and they're not. They're actually salespeople. And they're going to get most of the money when they come and pick it up. So beware of all these people and the scams that are going out there. Don't fall victim, okay?
And just going more and more, aren't they, boy? They're just having bigger and better scams and more prevalent. Online, it seems like everybody's getting beaten online once or twice before they wake up a little bit.
That's true. Didn't they?
At least you're warning the folks on our show here on who is doing it and what they're doing, so that they can take a little more precaution.
Well, check them out.
It's a lot nicer.
Look at all.
Check them out. I think that's the word. Check them out, guys.
And look at all the money that people spent in donating to their politicians. Billions of dollars gone to waste because most of them didn't make it.
Didn't make it.
And look how much.
But
Hillary, what was over $1 billion that she spent on her presidential deal? $1 billion. My God.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
It's huge.
What a waste.
Yeah, they should be out there drawing money for these people that need it, and instead they're out there profiting and profiting somebody that might vote for them, which would be an illegal immigrant of some type. They should. And America is famous for donating, because like when we've had the tsunamis and the different disasters over the world, money comes in by the droves. It comes in.
Well, look what happened to Haiti, remember? And the Clintons. Yeah, that was a big scandal.
Then somebody like come in and scam the deal and take the money away from the people that deserve it. The predation is horrendous, right?
Well, I take it you're going to come.
You know what answer?
You'll be here next week, right?
Yeah, I'll be here next week. Even if I have to walk, I'll start tomorrow.
Okay, well, I want to bid everybody.
Don't believe that, guy. I won't do that.
Good weekend. Have a
I want to
great.
be there.
Yeah. Take it
I want
easy.
to be there. It's a lot easier to be there and talk and make the show happen. I'm getting lost a little bit, and I'm sorry, folks, if it's hard for me to understand. But I'll be there next week. I'll be just as bad.
Okay. Take your word for it. I'll talk to you later.
Take my word. Okay, Mr. Brock, thank you so much for all you do and all you do behind the scenes that people don't see.
Okay.
If they only watch the show to see you on the air, it would be a treat for them. They don't know it yet, but one day they will.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you for listening, listener.
Bye-bye.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now